Pokémon!
What if Pokémon was a live-action series? Today on ScreenRant, we take a gander at what that might look like. So first, we gotta cast Ash. Joseph Schneider, 26, gave the closest thing to a serious reply and suggested Timothée Chalamet for the role, with Jessica Chastain as Misty and Dwayne Johnson as Brock. And you know, I recognize that he's screwing with me here, but I'd pay good money to see Tilda Swinton as Mewtwo and Michael Cera as Mew. Like, that's just good casting. Jodie Comer as Jessie and Vincent Cassel as James are also legitimately inspired. Yes, I recognize that Detective Pikachu exists. You can lay off the keyboard, it's okay, I understand. We're going to ignore that one because it doesn't do what fans positively yearn for with every fiber of their being. And as for Al Pacino as Meowth, well, obviously we've got to see what that would look like. Horrifying. But enough torturing our AI artist, back to Ash. I think I'd like to age up the characters a bit. Stay with me here, but let's have Josh Groban filling in the role. Okay, just for fun, let's try Terry Crews for Ash. Okay, cool. Now I'm done torturing our AI artist. For Misty, I'd like to see someone with a lot of experience who can really get across the frustration of spending your youth traveling around with the douchebag who stole your bike. They also have to be a redhead, duh, so, how about Karen Gillan? Perfect. We'll need a Nurse Joy, of course, for Brock to salivate over. I'm thinking Lily James for the role. Or roles. Give her a weekly guest appearance. So okay, we have our stars, and they're all playing the characters years into the future. Obviously, in the anime, Ash and company do go their separate ways, but we can imagine our film takes place some 20-odd years after the end of Ash's adventures. Brock is now a successful Pokemon doctor in the Kanto region, while Misty has taken over Cerulean Gym as the general manager. She basically lives like Kristen Stewart at the start of Love Lies Bleeding. Now, neither Brock nor Misty has seen Ash in years, so it's a seemingly welcome surprise when he shows up in Cerulean City at the same time as Brock, who's traveling for work. They decide to hit up Misty and talk about old times, and it's then, presumably at Cerulean City's best sports bar, that Brock and Misty learn about what Ash has been doing all this time. Adventuring. He never stopped. Pikachu has been dead for years. Ash has continued running away from the harsh realities of the world by pretending to be a 10-year-old well into his 30s, something that has gained him some notoriety as a staple of Pokemon convention appearances, but very little else. Oh, and of course, Professor Oak would have to show up. He's in his 60s or 70s at this point, fully retired, probably shacking up with Ash's mom. Let's think outside the box for this one. How about Tamura Morrison? Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Ooh, we could also try Charlie Sheen. I hear he's looking for a comeback.
Everyone loves a good comeback story, right?
Yes.
Kim Kardashian?
That actually works really well. Goodness gracious. So begins a very personal character drama in the tradition of the mumblecore film movement, wherein two friends attempt to help their lost former best friend to find a new identity for himself before it's too late and he burns out for good. To do this, they must go on a road trip through the various regions, with Team Rocket not far behind, offering a sort of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern commentary for what the 30-something twerps are up to. They'd be played by Catherine Tate and Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey, of course. Figure Jessie and James have chosen to rekindle their friendship after realizing that the adventuring life was all they had going for themselves back in the day. Meowth, of course, is dead. We'll have a real tearjerker of a scene where Team Rocket and the main trio jointly contend with the realities of life and death, and finally put aside their differences in the memory of their pet cat and electric mouse. All this so that Ash can find what's been missing in his life this whole time, and so Brock and Misty can turn back the clock and remind themselves of what it means to be eternally youthful. Also, some Pokemon would presumably show up at some point. So okay, let's talk key differences between the animated and live-action versions. The first, of course, is the focus on character dynamics. Specifically, we'd be dealing in the evolution of our central trio rather than those of the Pokemon they collect. In the cartoon series, it really doesn't seem like our characters change all that much, but what would they look like 20 years later? There's the question. That, of course, brings up the key to every Pokemon property: Animal cruelty. Yes, how has Pokemon battling changed over the years? How has that change mentally affected those who partook in the atrocities committed by Pokemon trainers across the globe? Is there a significant movement to change how people treat Pokemon, or are we still trapped in the all-too-human trap of subjugating living creatures for our own personal gain? As far as the Pokemon themselves, you saw Detective Pikachu, right? They work perfectly fine rendered in CGI directly from their cartoon designs, not unlike Sonic the Hedgehog. There's really no major difference, or at least there shouldn't be, between cartoon and live action in this regard. Maybe my plot isn't the most likely to get the green light, but I think it's safe to say that a Pokemon series done in live action is a plausible concept. It would probably be prohibitively expensive to make it all about Pokemon battles, but something more laid back like Pokemon Concierge or, I don't know, a mumblecore dramedy about aging could work. But what do you think? What's that? You want to see Chris Pratt as Ash Ketchum? Okay, you get it, but only so I can use it in the thumbnail, alright? As always, let us know in the comments what you think, and thank you for watching ScreenRant. You buckaroos.